Welcome to Off the Record with Nick Thielen. Today I'm joined by Trashed Ambulance, a band that was formed in 2014 right here in Red Deer. They've gone through many lineup changes, but have recently they've recorded full albums and 2 EPs. They've played with bands like Belvedere, Face to Face, and recently Lagwagon. I'm pleased to be joined today by Trashed Ambulance. Thank you so much. This is Josh, Riley, and Jason. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, tell me a little bit about the history of Trashed Ambulance. I know you guys have gone through quite a bit of lineup changes. Tell me about how that kind of, like how you guys formed the band and what it's been like through the years to where you guys are today.
Yeah, I guess I'll take that.
Sure, go ahead. Absolutely.
One of the founding members. So me and this guy were in a band called Chim Change that played in town. Like, when was that?
2011.
Yeah, quite a ways ago. And then he moved away, and I wanted to keep going, so we ended up starting. The guitar player that was in Chim Change, we started Trashed Ambulance together.
Yeah.
And so, like I usually do, I found a drummer off Kijiji, a guy named Ryan.
Sweet.
And then, another guy named Calvin that I knew, and we started playing. And he ended up moving back because he was living overseas in the Middle East. He came back, and
Nice.
instead of playing drums, he decided to go on guitar. Well, that was the only position available at the time. So he came on guitar, and then we started another band where he was playing drums again. And then eventually he kind of didn't have time to do both, so he stuck to the drums.
Nice.
So that was the first lineup change. And then fast forward quite a few years, the drummer that was the original member, he ended up moving to BC and decided it's time to move on from the band. So naturally, we thought he would come back as drums, but instead, actually no, he did for one EP.
One little
Yeah, he did.
tour,
We
yeah.
recorded one EP together, and then we were looking for a bass player, and we figured since he can play everything, why shouldn't he just play bass? And this guy was floating around. He had actually auditioned for the band, also found on Kijiji. And then I kind of ghosted him for a year, and then I sent him the "you up" text about a year and a half later, and he's like, "Hey, I am up." And next thing you know, he came and jammed. He actually remembered a couple of the songs that we had played years ago, and yeah, here we are. We just recorded the first album with this version of the band. So we all kind of put our heads together and went down to Calgary and recorded a 12-song album.
Awesome. Well, yeah, can you guys tell me a little bit about that experience? Like, what's it like going in the studio? It's obviously a bit different than jamming, but like, what's it like, going into a professional recording studio and putting stuff down, recording an album? You guys are signed to Thousand Island Records, and what's that like? Taking it pretty seriously. Like it's not like people think maybe a punk band's just a joke and you're having fun all the time on the road, but obviously taking it very seriously and
We
trying
also
to
think that.
The thinking's no different on that. It's all fun and games.
In regards to the album, we recorded with Casey Lewis at Echo Bay Studios in Calgary, and
Nice.
so he's the drummer of Belvedere.
Yeah.
And that band we talked about before, we actually recorded with them. When was that? 2012, 2013. And we were not prepared. Like, we had no idea what we were doing. But this time, we kind of knew what to expect. Well, you'd recorded with him, with his other band, quite a few times. So
Sweet.
this time we made sure we demoed all the songs. We practiced them hard. So we were ready. So
Nice.
I was more worried about him because Casey's a phenomenal drummer. So he was a little
Yeah, I was worried about that too.
intimidated.
Yeah.
So you can talk about your
Yeah.
experiences walking into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult going into a situation like that with someone you look up to so much, but that also made it easier as well.
Yeah.
I think for a drummer, as long as you go in there and you can play to a click, you're pretty good. Because believe it or not, there is a lot of editing in the studio. So if you're 50%, 70% on, you're probably okay.
It felt like you were higher than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One take Riley.
They compliment me a lot.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily. They like to flatter me.
Well, Ozone, do you feel like being in the other bands there, and do you feel like being on those other projects kind of like obviously maybe influenced your style and guitar over the years, kind of?
I played drums and most everything else
Okay.
I did. So no, not really. But actually, the main, my buddy in the other band, he's a phenomenal bass player. So I took a lot of my
Great.
bassing ideas from him, and he actually played bass in Trash Ambulance before me too. So
Sweet.
that made it easier.
Okay. Awesome.
So we just got the dollar store version of him. He's a lot cheaper.
The right-handed
A lot less
dollar store
drama.
version.
Nice. Yeah. So one of the things that inspired me doing this project is seeing how bands worked on stuff during COVID and what inspired them with their music. And I saw you guys did a live, like in the studio performance of some of your songs, not in front of people, but just kind of to bring some music to people during tough times. Obviously, you're not playing in front of people in that, but obviously, like there's some other punk bands and I think MXPX and a couple other bands, Goldfinger did stuff like that. So I remember, what was that experience like? Doing something like that.
I guess I should say first, like, we kind of were hesitant to do stuff like that because, like, this band isn't our job, right? So we'd see bands that are doing that. It's like, oh, they can't tour. That's the way they make their money. That's their livelihood. So
Right.
we thought it was a little bit silly for us as guys. We take it serious, but we still
Right.
had, I was able to work all throughout the pandemic. So was he. So, well, I don't think you were even around at that point.
I was working though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us were lucky in that sense. So.
Yeah, so we kind of were hesitant about doing that because we're there's bands that need the money they need, and that's kind of stay in our lane type of thing. But then
Right.
our label said, "Oh, we're putting together this live show. Would you guys like to do it?" So we ended up putting it all together. We actually worked our butts off to get it done, and so he recorded his parts at his house. I recorded at mine. It wasn't actually live, but I was able to splice it all together and go back and forth. Spoiler alert. And so we did that, handed it all in. We kind of rushed it to get it done. Well, we didn't rush it, but worked our butts off to get it done and edited.
Yeah.
Waited.
Nice.
So guys, when's this showcase coming out? And eventually they just kind of, well, you can just publish it on your own because we don't know. And that still hasn't been released.
What
So
happened to that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a whole bunch of other bands involved and stuff too, but that kind of fell through. So we just
put it out ourselves. We have it. It's content.
Right.
And at the time, they weren't doing any full band shows. They just weren't happening at that time. So
Yeah.
acoustic was one of the only things we could do. I think you came on we did a few shows, just me and him, and then he came on and doing the Cajon thing for
Yeah, we played a spa. That was fantastic.
yeah, that was your first show in the band.
A spa.
Shout out Solarnaz, and how do you say that?
Solaranzo.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
Playing in
I
front
ate
of wine
bruschetta, and he made a comment about old ladies.
I did.
Yeah.
It was
Sweet.
lovely. They loved me.
Yeah. Well, what you guys have done this for a few years now. Obviously, you probably have some cool stories from just being on the road and traveling. You guys have been obviously kind of all over Canada, kind of deal a little bit, and all over the Prairie provinces, I guess. What is your you have any cool stories you can share? What is the moments you're most proud of as a band?
Let's take this one. Well, he's from Ontario, so he was in bands out there. So you did a bit more touring when you were younger, right?
Yeah. I mean, touring. When you're inside your own province or the province over, I guess you count it as a tour.
Yeah.
This lineup, us three actually haven't toured together yet, just because the three of us started playing in Trash during the pandemic, right? So,
Right.
Our first one's here in a couple of weeks, so
Yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up for
yeah.
sure.
So we've got two little tours already booked. So
Nice.
knock on wood that they follow through, right? So I
Right.
mean, we've gone to Vancouver a couple times, Josh and I.
Right.
Well, this band, maybe another band, and
Yeah.
I mean, there's funny stories, but I won't say them.
Even this lineup's got some pretty funny stories that are a little inappropriate. we definitely have fun when we can. So.
Right. So tell me a little bit about you guys. What you guys have planned for the future? You guys talking about a little bit of a tour. what do you got? What do you guys have planned for the future? You talked about the album that you got planned or went to the studio to record.
Yeah, well, I guess by the time this drops, it'll already be out. As of right now, we're a couple weeks out. We
Yeah.
released 2 songs so far, 1 music video.
Yeah.
A friend of ours made a cartoon for us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's pretty humorous. If you haven't checked it out, I suggest you do it.
Yeah, actually, I was talk a little bit about that. I think it's the same guy that did this video for dogs chasing cars. Is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah, a little
And
cartoon
he actually
there.
just did, I don't know if you know Fat Mike from NoFX.
I don't know him personally, but I know him.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
You don't have his number, man?
No, I wish. No, I was gonna say. Obviously, you guys are very like no effects inspired in my mind. Like,
Are we?
I don't. It sound like to me, you guys have a very like I don't know like. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a compliment. I mean, I like their sound, and I think what a lot of people love about NoFX is not necessarily like polished vocals. It's very, you know what I mean. It's like raw. It's
He was okay in the 90s and 2000s, but
yeah. I
he
mean,
sounds tired these days, for lack of a better word.
fair enough, but you guys. I mean, in terms of you guys have performed with some pretty, I guess, pretty amazing bands, like legendary bands, like Voodoo Glow Skulls. You guys performed with Lagwagon pretty recently. Like
that one hurts.
That one actually got cancelled because they
Oh.
got COVID, so they didn't come. So
oh no,
sold out show bows that didn't happen.
oh no, sorry about
So we're
that.
hoping they'll come back. Well, like
Yeah.
but not till let's say next year now.
Fair
You gotta
enough.
stop booking tours. and come
Yeah,
back to
every time I
regular.
look, they got the tour somewhere else, but
Yeah.
they'll be back.
Yeah, exactly,
Keep going.
exactly.
We'll have a new album by then. a new album.
Yeah. Well, and one of the songs I personally really, I thought it was really cool. You know, punk bands do little jokes. You were talking a little bit about, you know, your love of like Magic the Gathering right before you started recording. I like the little. I listened to Relics, right, and I like that song. You got a little Norm Macdonald intro in the beginning, like or at the end, I guess. At the end, talking about how you guys never grow up or something like that. I love Norm Macdonald. Unfortunately, he passed recently, but that was really cool. I really liked that song for that. That little intro.
Just
Obviously, no, I like the song. Obviously, I like the song too. Okay, this is a great start. Hot start.
Best
Anyway.
sound clips in punk rock. Right
Oh yeah, for sure.
now.
No,
That's even
but
has to be.
We got some pretty good ones on the new record too. There's
great.
There's a Futurama one that gets everybody laughing.
Yeah, did you guys? I know you said earlier you weren't really fans of Blink-182, but you guys
Oh,
ever
he
do the
is.
joke
I'm
songs?
I'm a
You do-
huge fan.
Okay, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do you guys?
It's this guy.
You're not morally obligated or legally obligated to say that. No kidding. No,
Travis
but
Hyrus.
there you go.
I love education.
One of the best
Gotta get
bands
that.
of all time. Or, like, no, I think Travis is one of the best drummers out there still today.
I'll
Personally,
I think so.
that's my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. I obviously, and I have a lot of great memories of just like going to. I know I'm a kid with crutches and whatever, but I love punk rock music and just I went to a lot of concerts as a kid. You know, like I went to almost died at a Blink-182 show and a Rancid show. So a lot of good memories going to.
Almost died.
No, I didn't die, but I came with 2 shoes and glasses and left with one shoe and no glasses. So good
Sounds like a
memories.
good punk
Do you
rock.
guys?
That's right.
Yeah. Do you guys
What more did you ask for?
ever? But one of the things I love about doing this show and talking to different bands is like you know, we talk a lot about what the music does for the people going to the show, and I guess especially for punk rock music, how it like releases energy and lets people be themselves. But what do you guys get as a band, being able to perform the music and being able to get in front of, you know, people and perform again? I guess we haven't been able to really do that for a couple years now. What do you guys personally get from performing as a band, and you know, what's it like to get on stage and be able to release
He
those
gets the
emotions
runs
for people?
before every show.
Sometimes I'll play. He's right. Sometimes I'll do like double sets, and I gotta go before each set because I get stressed. But
Yeah.
that's what I get out of playing music is stress.
No, it's been amazing. Like for me, my favorite part of being in a band is always the jams together,
Yeah.
writing songs, recording. But then when you got that taken away from you, the shows, kind of realize, once we were able to do it again, and you see people singing along with you, or you get to see your friends' bands or bands that you love, and it's a good feeling. Like it's a healthy way to get out aggression and stress. So
Definitely a release. I mean, you grow up and you look up to all these guys who are doing it, or guys and girls who are doing it, and you practice your heart out your whole life trying to get there, and then you do it. You're mostly doing it for you, right?
Right.
To get that feeling of accomplishment. So.
Yeah.
I think it is nice too when you're playing and there's people you don't know and they actually sing along to some of the words. I mean, that's a kind of a, it is a cool feeling. Right. And obviously for a smaller band that's coming up, to see people are caring enough to even pay attention to the lyrics and the melodies are pretty cool, because I don't even know half the lyrics to our songs, so to see people I don't know, singing, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then ever since I started playing bass, playing live's great, since I don't have to haul a drum kit around anymore.
Absolutely. Do you guys have like when you're coming up with new songs, like do you come up with the lyrics first? Do you come up with a rhythm for the bass? Do you do guitars first? Is there a process to it at all?
I guess we could talk. This is a pretty collaborative album, but a lot of the times I've actually built a little studio in my basement so I can do demos, but I don't play drums, so I usually just put on the drum machine and just...
Yeah. I guess we should mention that, hey, we're here at the Trash Ambulance. They're recording, or their little studio here, and they're actually, I guess you guys can talk a little bit about it. There's lots of bands here that actually perform in this space. You might hear some bands playing in the background right now.
Shout out to Ben for letting all of us greasy musicians hang out in his building after hours.
Yeah,
It's kind of interesting because when I tell people, the Imperial Building in Red Deer, I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, you know where Wolf and Crown Tattoo is? That's where you jam? It's like, yeah, in the upstairs. So it's kind of interesting. It's just like an office building where bands have kind of invaded. So, but
at the same, I do comedy, I do some film stuff, and like for me, I don't know. There's definitely like a lot of people that are like, "You're a comedian from Red Deer? Like, why are you in Red Deer?" Like, it's sort of there's this sense of like. There's like, sure, you're making fun of me because I'm from Red Deer, but I'm going to show you how kick-ass it is that I can still make this awesome content and make really awesome music from Red Deer. Do you guys have that kind of feeling of like...
Yeah, I don't know how I ended up here. I just had buddies here, but I do agree with you. It's kind of that... I'd rather be the big fish in the small pond sometimes, and sure, you can move to Toronto or Vancouver, but which is cool because there's stuff going on all the time, but you're just a little drop in the ocean there.
Right.
Like, it's really hard to make some noise, so we aspire to be one of the best punk bands in Red Deer.
There is a lot of culture here in Red Deer that I think people forget about. Like one of my other bands played in Edmonton, and somebody commented, they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know there was music like this in Red Deer." So I think people forget or don't know that there's a lot of really cool stuff happening here in Red Deer. So.
And I think a lot of the bands that start in Red Deer, they kind of get bigger and they move to Calgary and Edmonton. So
shout out Dusty Tucker.
Yeah. Like a lot of them, right? Like it's too bad that more of them don't live here. But sometimes the bright lights steal them away.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
It doesn't help that we're down to 2 venues that are welcoming to heavier music now.
Red Deer took a hit.
Maybe 3.
It took a hit from COVID for sure.
Right.
2 of the 2 really good venues are gone. So,
well, do you want to talk a little bit about like what kind of things can be done to bring back opportunities for Red Deer as a community, or like what kind of things would you guys like to see to have the music scene here in Red Deer grow a little bit? Or
one thing I would like to do, and we're working on this, and I heard you talking to somebody about this, is trying to revitalize the all ages scene, because I know there is a couple younger kids that have been messaging us on Instagram and stuff saying, you guys are playing at a bar, that's too bad, we'd like to come, and they have a band themselves, and it's like I'd like to help them nurture that scene so that there's people playing rock music that are coming up, and you know,
inclusivity is a big one for sure.
Yeah, that too.
Right? There's like this. I think it comes with every scene though. There's a vibe,
Right.
where people are always like, this gets clicky.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, but yeah, having all ages, like there are no all ages venues here.
No.
You got.
There used to be a couple, but now like the VAT, you can't.
I remember
aren't
going to
allowed.
all ages shows as a kid, like you know, like basement shows. I can remember like maybe it was Calgary or I think Red Deer had a couple of like all ages shows, and
Yeah, they're huge when you're younger.
absolutely.
Changed my life going to a few.
What was Desiree's place? Was that
Slumland.
Slumland?
Yes.
Was that all ages?
Yeah.
That's the
I think
one.
so. Yeah.
Slumland.
Probably the worst sound in Canada.
Maybe.
My ears are still ringing from any shows I did there.
I remember that because the sound used to like reverberate off the walls and just echo
Yeah.
chamber.
I had
But
a few friends come to shows and they weren't really into the music scene, and they're just like, ended up seeing them standing in the lobby. They're like, it's too loud. I know.
no,
sorry.
yeah.
But good try.
It was the all ages scene that got a lot of us going. I think there was a place where I grew up called the Dungeon. That was the first place that I saw like Protest the Hero, and
Nice.
Sum 41 played there, and so that was real cool. And you know, 12, 13-year-old kid, that's life changing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you see these bands on stage, and you're like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, okay. Well, you guys have a brand new animation you're releasing for a new song called "Stalk in the Park." Can you tell me a little bit about what inspired that song and then the video for it?
Yeah, I guess.
You wrote it.
That's kind of on you, yeah. It's like
It's all my fault.
You've been talking about that, writing a song like that for years.
Yeah, so I always liked like you talked about earlier, how like, punk rock could be silly and fun.
Yeah.
So like there was bands like the Bouncing Souls, and way back like the Pogues did a song, and then most recently it'd be Masked Intruder. It's a duet, but it's kind of not a love song. Like they're giving each other the gears, and I always wanted to do that. Like that'd be hilarious. So we kind of had this riff that was poppy punk, super fun. And these guys actually tried to make it fast, and I was like, no, it's got to be slow. So
the fast version of it was good too.
double time is cool.
If you
it
guys
doesn't exist.
want,
We'll redo it in the 10-year reunion.
just 2 times speed on YouTube, just speed it up, and
Yeah, so we wanted to do a duet. So we asked our friend Emily, or Emily, she's French, from Quebec City.
nice.
She if she wanted to do it, so she didn't come out or anything. She recorded at her studio in Quebec, sent it over to us,
Nice.
and then we realized, because the point of the song is, I wake up, or the unnamed protagonist wakes up after a night of drinking Pepsi, and he's in a park, and he falls in love with the girl, but the girl's there with her kids, just trying to enjoy her afternoon with the kids, and the guy professing his love, and she's like, "Get out of here!" Like,
Yeah.
so what is it called when you have 3 people? It's not a rom-com. So we invited a third person in, our friend Robbie Marone from Calgary band The Maroons, to sing. He plays the cop that lugs me out of there.
Okay.
Takes me to jail for creeping out this poor girl that's just there with the kids. So that's what happens in that song. And then we talked to this. Actually, I didn't even talk to him. This fellow by the name of Matt. His first part of his name is not appropriate for TV, but he's made videos for us before. Actually, 2 before this. And he just messaged me, "Hey, you guys have a new album out? Send me a song. I'll make you a video." I'm like, okay. So
Nice.
I sent him the song. I said, "Don't release it right away because it's not out." I'm like, kind of forgot about it. A month later, got the email, and it was this completed video. So we thought it was hilarious. So we naturally put it on the internet for everyone to see. And yeah, it's been getting great reviews. I think like 4,000 views or something on YouTube, which is good for us. Normally we
I
get
actually
a
think
couple hundred.
It's like up to 6K now.
Oh, I haven't checked in a while.
People are enjoying it.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it helps to have other people. We're big on the guest star thing too. There's quite a bit of that on our new album.
Right.
We asked quite a few of our friends in the music scene to.
It's
sing
cool
along
to
with
see
us.
that punk rock. Well, I mean, it's like everybody's always like punk rock is dead, you know what I mean? Like, but it's still alive, you know what I mean? As people are still enjoying the music, it's good to keep it going. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's the only kind of music that I like to play.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you for sharing that video with us. That's amazing. All right, so the second song is called Ekna Lubna.
It's ambulance backwards.
Oh, nice! Woo!
Yeah.
First take. Let's go. Okay, and
Said it right.
so tell me a little bit about what inspired that song and the video. I mean, obviously it's a play on words there, but yeah.
Yeah, so I guess in the very first album we did, we had a song called Trashed. And then the second full length, we had a song called Ambulance. And so we were thinking, in that vein, how could we have another one on this one?
Nice.
He actually wrote this song. So he didn't have a good name for it that he liked. So then we just said, what about calling it Ectolubma? And he's never said it right.
Ectolubma.
So if you want to talk about the inspiration of the song.
I had an acoustic riff that I wrote a long time ago relative to this band. And I said, you know what, this could be a cool skatey punk style that sounds like some of the old guitar stuff I contributed to Trash 2015, 2016. So it sounds a little more, I think, raw than maybe some of our other songs, but yeah, it turned out good. And I always liked like Blink-182 Dude Ranch style, like back and forth vocals from Mark and Tom. So I said, well, I think we should do that for this. So trade off lines and go back and forth and keep it fast and fun. And it worked.
Great.
He went sour on the song. So we had our little our online drive with demos, and he's like, I'm taking it out of the demo drive. I don't want this song, because he actually originally is much longer.
Yeah.
No, first it was really short, and he's like, I added onto it, so it was like longer. And then he's like, I hate this song, I don't want it. And I was like, well, make it short again. And he's like, okay, I like it again.
Yeah.
So,
And then the lyrics changed a whole bunch, and I liked the original lyrics, the unreleased lyrics.
So do you guys envision yourself, or have you in the past released more than one version of a song? Because you're like, I like this version, but also would like speed this up, or like change the lyrics, or
we've
thought about
re-recorded
things like that?
songs a couple times just because, or we had one that was acoustic and we did it faster, full band a couple times. So we have done that, but not. Because this time, we used to just record in my basement, so
Yeah.
doing stuff like that was no problem. And now, we spent money to go to a real studio. We're not gonna.
Nice.
We'd rather put out new stuff than waste time doing silly stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless he sent us the raw files and we kind of did our own version, but
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, like for writing this entire album, like we recorded every song twice almost, like just in preparation. So they didn't change drastically, but there was like quite a few different versions of every song in this album. That
We demoed them all out, all 12 songs, and then we realized some of them are hard to sing, so we down-tuned a half a step down.
Okay.
So then we re-demoed them all again and found that they were easier to sing when they weren't.
Slow down a little bit.
Yeah, we just down-tuned the guitars, and we think it turned out pretty good. So now that's what we do. So
Sometimes in practice, I'd do something that I wouldn't usually do, and Ozone would take notice of it and be like, well, now you have to do that. And so that happened a lot. So he would change it
in the studio too.
Yeah, he would change it in the demo and be like, you got to do this. And sometimes it would just be the most ridiculous thing. And yeah, but it went well. It turned out well.
All right, this next video is called Eknalumma, and it is by Trashed Ambulance. Let's check it out. All right, sweet. That was Eknalumma by Trashed Ambulance, and it was awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing it, and thanks for making me practice my tongue twisters. That was awesome. Listen, if you want to find if people can find out more about your music, where can they look up your music? Where can they find out more about your band?
Oh, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just type in Trashed Ambulance, you'll find us. We also we're on Spotify. Go to thousandsislandsrecords.com. You'll find us on there as well. We're on all the streaming platforms. So
everywhere.
just type. Although there was all those riots in Europe, so now like Trashed Ambulance, that always comes up. Before you thought we were being unique, but apparently people are trashing ambulances in London.
Oh,
they ruined
the SEO.
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of this show today. Thank you guys. Thank you to the audience for joining us on Off the Record with Nick Thielen. Thanks again to Josh, Ozone, and all of Trashed Ambulance. Thanks for being a part of it. I really appreciate it. It's awesome to have you guys be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
you.
Obviously, it'll be on their TELUS Optic TV platform, which is cool, and then it'll be on Air Canada. I don't know if you guys fly, but it'll be on there in Canada.
That's actually pretty rad.
Yeah. So.
And you made it. It's going to be on all those platforms, and you talked about me pooping before the show.